The General Industries Workers Union of South Africa is holding a protest outside the Nasrec Centre on the final day of the AGOA Forum. The union says it cannot be business as usual with funders of genocide. Our business reporter is there for us, and she joins us to talk us through what is happening. Ntokozo Khumalo, good morning.
Make the Northwest Province
Good morning. Well, they are about to take the protest a little bit closer to the Nasrec Centre where the AGOA Forum is having that final day of the forum. And as you rightly said, they are saying that it cannot be business as usual. And I am now with the president, Mamendle Sbai. Thank you so much for talking to us. Not business as usual. What is your call that you are making with this protest today?
Well, we are saying that South African government must protest the role of the U.S. imperialism in the genocide that is being carried out, in Gaza at the moment. We are speaking about a situation where, in a very, small strip of land, Israeli regime that has been armed, that has been abetted, that has been equipped, that has been funded and cheered by the U.S. imperialism, has dropped 18,000 tons of bombs on the strip of land, which has wiped out more than 900 families. 100 families that have ceased to exist. That has killed about 10,000 people in a country where, or in the strip where only about 2.2 million people are living. Let's remember that the worst massacres committed in this country, it was in Sharpeville where only about 69 people actually died. In Gaza, in the past 2 weeks, Israeli regime has killed about 10,000 people, 73% of whom are children and women. And these are not Hamas fighters, as you can imagine. So we are saying that it cannot be business as usual. And the idea, by the way, that AGOA is about creating jobs and assisting African countries to develop is not true. In fact, it is a stated policy of the U.S. government in its condition for AGOA that United States serves its interests when it promotes its interest in the continent. Countries that do not promote or serve the national security and the foreign policy interests of United States do not qualify for AGOA. What are those interests of United States and American imperialism in Africa? It's not jobs, it's not alleviation of poverty, it's not about developing this continent. It is about the plunder of its resources, it is about the plunder of its labor, and it is about subjugating the continent in the permanent state of neo-colonial servitude in which we are condemned. We just have to look at this deal and what actually it says.
Well, it does seem that starting that walk and talk. So, Mamendle, how do we then balance the conversation of saying, because in this year's forum it was the first time we saw labor part of the forum. So how do we balance those geopolitical tensions with ensuring that there are jobs for South Africans and jobs on the rest of the continent? How do we then take that conversation forward?
Like I said, AGOA is not about creating of jobs. It's not about development, of the country. It is about the U.S. imperialist interest, and that is a stated policy. And that is the reason that they are saying one of the conditions is that any government or a country that does not serve the U.S. national security or foreign policy interest is not qualifying for AGOA. And what are these foreign policy interests? These are the interests, as I've said, to extract the minerals and, of course, to exploit this continent and condemn it to a state of perpetual neo-colonial servitude. And this is very clear even in terms of who gets to benefit from this particular scheme, right? 75% of the benefits accrue to the auto industry. This is an industry.
But the argument saying that they're trying to change that, trying to add more township businesses, small businesses, do you see that happening?
Well, it's not happening. And it's not going to happen. In actual fact, we need to say who benefited, who lost from this. Like I've said, auto industry make up 75% of the benefit. This is an industry, by the way, that is owned entirely by the U.S. and its allies. That is the U.S. companies, the Japanese, and
the large employer of South Africans, no?
True, but I'm saying, that's the industry, by the way, that I think in media we need to have a conversation about. Because what we are not talking about is that industry already is being subsidized to the hundreds of billions of tax money that must therefore be utilized, or that could to ensure a meaningful, sustainable industries that employ millions of more South Africans and so on. But of course, about what happened with the agricultural industries that were destroyed by AGOA. When AGOA was concluded, right, they sacrificed the poultry industry as an example. Tens of thousands of jobs were lost. That whole industry has been laid to waste in this country. So I'm just saying that the industry that is benefiting is corporations that are owned by the very same US and its allies. The industries that are owned by South Africans lost and were laid to waste. Therefore, I'm not surprised that it is their stated policy that this thing is about their foreign policy.
So what's your call to action then as the Industries Workers Union of South Africa? What are you calling to happen?
So, insofar as the demonstration is concerned, we are calling for immediate ceasefire, because it cannot be right that the carnage, the bloodbath against the people of Palestine continues. Secondly, we are part of solidarity movement that stands in absolute solidarity with the freedom of the Palestinian people, because the only solution to the war in Palestine is the freedom of the Palestinian people. And I think for us that means them having their own sovereign, independent, democratic, and rule of a socialist state from where we are concerned. Right? And when we want the US to stop funding and equipping that occupation, that colonial project, and so on. But insofar as the AGOA and our demands in relation to that and so on, we are saying that the alternative is that South African government should nationalize the auto industry, which, by the way, currently is not even manufacturing. It's just assembling parts manufactured elsewhere, and on the basis of nationalization and a proper public investment, it can develop to manufacture, but also to manufacture, ensuring that we repurpose that industry to serve the interests of the people of this country and not just a corporation that owns it. What does that look like? It means, as I said, manufacturing will create many more jobs than we currently have. But also, what we need in this country is public transport for working class people. Right? Many people who, because of the geo-spatial planning of apartheid regime, staying somewhere to stay very far from their workplaces and so on. They need buses, they need trains, they need, we don't even have trams in this country and so on. This is the kind of auto manufacturing that we need, that not only will create more jobs than we have at the moment, but in fact will not come at the expense of many other industries that are destroyed by this kind of neo-colonial scheme that the US is promoting in South Africa.
Memeko, when we've been speaking to some of those government officials that you allude to, speaking to the Gauteng MEC of Economic Development, speaking to the Minister in the Presidency, Khumbudzo Ntshavheni, who've highlighted that they want to kind of reshape AGOA to ensure that Africa has its sovereign rights and is able to not be bullied by the state. So those arguments that you are making, as well as that, that triple economic framework of using AGOA, using the African Continental Free Trade Area to deal with some of those obstacles that you've discussed. Are you not then convinced that there is real movement towards that and it's just talk?
It's never going to happen. You see, United States, like every state, is an organization of its corporations that dominate, the monopolies that dominate the U.S. economy. In the case of the United States, as a policeman of the world imperialism, is about the interests of its cooperation and those of world imperialism, but particularly of Western aligned cooperations. And that's the reason I'm making an example of the Germans, the Japanese, that are part of all of those schemes and so on. And it's in the interest of those that every economic and a foreign policy scheme that they devise, you can be sure that it is in the interest of these cooperations and nobody else. And the idea that you can make them to act anyhow is not realistic. And what do we want? We think the only possibility of genuine solidarity would not be, a cooperate-driven state in American society. We are believing in internationalism and so on. It's only on the basis of a united international working class movement that we can have a genuine solidarity of people across the world and a cooperation on the basis of a mutual benefit of all people across the world. That's not what's happening. That's never going to happen on the basis of a corporate-driven, profit-driven policies of American imperialism.
Memetle, thank you for talking to us. Of course, that's Memetle Sibai, who is the president of the General Industries Workers Union of South Africa. And as you can see behind me, we are literally walking up to the entrance of the Nasrec Centre, where the final day of forum is taking place. We still have some breakaway sessions that are going to be taking place between U.S. counterparts as well as stakeholders really in trade and industry across the continent. We also do still have the exhibition that is taking place, and if you recall, Dudu, when I spoke to exhibitors from across the continent, really saying that AGOA is not only helping them access those U.S. markets, but also to access markets on the continent. Not convinced that that is happening fast enough or at a scale that is really going to make a difference, and calling there for solidarity across the global, and for the international workers unions to really stand together against the US, sort of controlling, South Africa and other African economies, turning them into commercial states that does not benefit the workers or the general public to do so. I am still here. We can continue following the visuals. They're just taking a pause, and we're about 200 meters from the main AGOA gates. And we do have as well Zwelinda Vavi from COSATU with us. I was trying to find him a little bit earlier, but we're hoping to be able to have a chat with him just on the thoughts around joining and being part of this protest. And there are, that solidarity coming through, because we have some members coming from Potchefstroom and Natal to come and support this protest action. So I will just let my colleague Katlego show you some of these visuals as we head closer to the gate.
Thank you very much for that comprehensive report, Ntokozo Khumalo, and we do apologize to our viewers for that intermittent connection. We'll touch base with you a little bit later on when you get to Nasrec. Ntokozo Khumalo, thank you.